This is so weird.
Look
Oh
at
my god. They're so strange. Such a strange animal.
What if I told you that hidden deep within caves are creatures that have been lost to time, some for thousands, even millions of years? These aren't just fossils, we're talking about well-preserved specimens, from ancient humans to Ice Age giants, frozen in time. Today, we got some unbelievable discoveries that scientists have made in recent years just for you. So let's get started. Number 1. Homo naledi. Let's start with something that dates back to the very beginning of humanity itself. Back in 2013, an extinct species of archaic human was discovered hidden inside the Rising Star cave system in Gauteng province, South Africa.
These discoveries telling us is that there's a lot out there to be found.
This early human species, known as Homo naledi, lived hundreds of thousands of years ago. But what makes them truly interesting is that they had the traits of both the primitive and modern, which means they were the species which was in the early stages of evolution. The discovery happened on September 13, 2013, when two experienced cave explorers, Rick Hunter and Stephen Tucker, stumbled upon hominin fossils in a hidden part of the cave system called the Dinaledi Chamber. And not long had passed when they formed an entire team just to excavate ancient remains from this cave. The excavating team became known as the Underground Astronauts. Their efforts paid off big time. Over 1,150 fossil fragments were recovered, representing at least 15 individuals. Scientists have dated these remains to the Middle Pleistocene era, around 335,000 to 236,000 years ago. What's even more interesting is that these ancient humans were small, had smaller skulls, and were pretty average in height, almost 4 FD9 in. Not to mention, they weighed only around 39.7 kilos. Despite their size, their skeletal structure shows that they were skilled climbers, likely able to cover long distances on foot. Number 2. Ursus arctos. In September 2020, a team of researchers announced that they had just made one of the most interesting discoveries ever. A group of reindeer herders on Bolshoi Liakovsky Island in Russia's Arctic region stumbled upon something truly extraordinary: a perfectly preserved Ice Age cave bear. Only when the researchers got there did they realize this was no ordinary discovery. This could teach them a lot about the past. Now, at first, scientists thought it might be the extinct cave bear species, Ursus spelaeus, but after closer examination, they realized it was actually a brown bear, Ursus arctos, that had been frozen in time for at least 3,960 years. Like I said, the best part about this was how well it was preserved. Its soft tissues, internal organs, skin, and even fur were all intact, making it the first of its kind ever found in such a remarkable state. The bear, a female standing 5.1 feet tall and weighing about 172 pounds, was likely just 2 or 3 years old when she died. Number 3. Woolly mammoth. In September 2020, a Michigan farmer was going about his day, just plowing his field, when he found out that under the dirt there were more than just seeds. As he worked, he spotted something unusual sticking out of the ground. At first, he thought it was just the bones of some old animal, but when he took a closer look, he realized he had found the remains of a woolly mammoth. Curious, he kept digging, and soon enough, he had dug up an almost complete skeleton of the ancient creature. A team of researchers was called in to investigate, and they confirmed it was indeed a woolly mammoth, around 3,460 years old. But the best part was that the bones of this woolly mammoth were very well preserved, including the skull, ribs, and vertebrae, making it a nearly complete skeleton. The researchers were able to date the bones and found that this mammoth lived thousands of years ago, roaming North America during the last Ice Age. Number 4. Woolly rhinoceros. Siberia is famous for its harsh winters, but it also holds some incredible surprises frozen beneath its permafrost. One of the best finds came in August 2020, when Russian scientists made a discovery along the banks of the Terechtiak River, a fully frozen woolly rhinoceros. The specimen was all in one piece, and estimated to be at least 32,000 years old. What makes this special is that the rhino was almost entirely intact, including its fur, a rare occurrence, as most of the time scientists only come across partial remains like bones or teeth. This particular rhino was just 3 to 4 years old when it died, a young age for such a large creature. Number 5. Cave lion. Siberia continues to surprise us with some of the most well-preserved ancient creatures, and this next discovery is no exception. Scientists recently found 2 lion cubs, later named Boris and Sparta, in nearly perfect condition. Their bodies were so well preserved that they looked as if they had just fallen asleep. These cubs are believed to be around 43,000 and 28,000 years old, dating back to the Ice Age. They were likely only 1 or 2 months old when they died. It's amazing how their bodies survived for so long, almost like time itself stood still. The exact cause of their death remains unclear, but some scientists think a natural disaster may have been responsible for sealing them under the ice, preserving them for millennia. Number 6. Megalonyx. During a routine tunnel construction project in Los Angeles, workers made an unexpected discovery: the bones of a creature that once existed only in the books. The creature I'm talking about is the ancient giant sloth, aka genus Megalonyx. This species of sloth existed thousands of years ago, but despite years of search, only a few specimens have ever been recovered to prove its existence. But that changed when a construction project turned out to be the turning point, leading to workers finding a gigantic bone. At first, they weren't sure what kind of animal it could have come from, but after a closer look by experts, they realized they had stumbled upon the remains of a giant ground sloth from the Pleistocene epoch. These creatures were truly enormous, reaching up to 10 feet in length.
You can visualize the sloth rising up on its hind legs to make itself appear bigger and more impressive.
And weighing around a ton. Despite their size, they were gentle giants, feeding on plants as they roamed across North America. Number 7. Smilodon. Cuvieri Cave in eastern Brazil has been a rich source of fossil finds for years, but one discovery there really caught everyone's attention. Before this discovery, they'd mostly found smaller animals like rodents, deer, and reptiles. But this time, it was something far more impressive. If you've seen Ice Age, you're probably familiar with Diego, the saber-toothed cat, also known as Smilodon. But long before Hollywood made them famous, these fierce predators roamed the earth, and in real life, they were just as impressive.
With these incredibly powerful forelimbs, it would pull down its prey before dispatching it with these terrifying teeth.
These cats are among the most well-known prehistoric creatures that lived nearly 20 million years ago. Several bones belonging to the Smilodon populator were found, and after careful study, scientists were able to unlock new genetic information about these powerful hunters, adding to what we know about how they lived and hunted. Number 8. Irish elk. A few years ago, a fisherman in the United States made headlines after a discovery that caught the attention of the world. What he found was the towering remains of an Irish elk standing at about 7 feet tall, weighing in at over 1,000 pounds. This particular specimen is one of the largest and best preserved examples ever found. This extinct species, part of the Megaloceros giganteus family, was famous for its massive size and antlers that could stretch up to 6 feet wide. The Irish elk disappeared around 11,000 years ago, but this find brought new attention to the long-lost species. Number 9. Buty the Iceman. Back on September 19, 1991, a group of German tourists hiking through the Similon Glacier in the Ötztal Alps stumbled upon something they never expected: a human body sticking out of the melting ice. What they didn't realize at first was that this wasn't just any body, it was ancient. Once experts arrived, they quickly realized the gravity of the find. The body was that of a man who had been frozen in the ice for over 5,000 years. He was later named Buty the Iceman, after the region where he was found. The best part is that the ice had preserved his body in quite a detail. His skin, tattoos, and even injuries were still visible. And these injuries would soon spark a centuries-old murder mystery. During the examination, scientists discovered an arrowhead lodged deep in Buty's left shoulder, likely causing a lot of blood loss. It's believed that after being wounded, he sought shelter in a small cave, where he eventually passed out and died. The glacier's ice kept his body frozen in time, shielding it from the elements for thousands of years. When Buty was finally discovered, he was only 5 feet 2 inches tall and likely a 46-year-old, a man who might have been a hunter in his day, but tragically met his end at the hands of others. Number 10. Wolf head. Wolves have always been fascinating creatures. But what did they look like thousands of centuries ago?
Revealing the mummies of Ice Age animals.
Well, scientists have just the right answer for that question. Or should we say, they have a wolf's head sitting in their specimen collection. The head was discovered by a tusk hunter exploring the site along the Terechtiak River in Siberia. And, well, instead of finding a tusk, he discovered a well-preserved, fully intact head of a wolf. It's estimated that the head has been sitting beneath the ice for at least 32,000 years, making it the first ever specimen of a Pleistocene steppe wolf. The wolf was probably around 2 to 4 years old at the time of death, and thanks to perfect circumstances, it retained all its teeth, fur, and internal organs even after all these years. Comparatively, the head indicated that the wolves weren't massive giants back then, but just a few inches bigger than modern-day species. Now the question is, where's the rest of the body? Maybe some other animals feasted on it, but then why would they leave just the head? One can only wonder. Number 11. Dire wolf. Now that we're on the topic of wolves, we surely can't miss one of the most prominent creatures of the Pleistocene epoch, the one and only dire wolf. We know you must have heard the name dire wolf from TV shows like Game of Thrones, which portray this species as a dominant predator. They were large, strong, had strong jaws equipped with massive teeth, and more importantly, way more intelligent than modern wolves. Well, in real life, they were exactly that type of creature. And now you may ask how I knew what they looked like. Well, the scientists at the La Brea tar pits have excavated nearly 1,000 dire wolf remains, which are all displayed in their museum now. In fact, they even have an entire wall dedicated to dire wolf skull, which gave them critical insights into their anatomy and ecological role. These wolves once inhabited diverse environments across North America, and because of that, their remains can be found in numerous places. Each of these specimens is probably around 10,000 years old. Number 12. Stella's sea cow. When it comes to mysterious extinct creatures, we can't overlook the Stella's sea cow, also known as Hydrodamylus gigas. This creature was documented in several texts, primarily by Georg Wilhelm Steller, after whom it was named. These sea cows' habitat was mainly around the Commander Islands, located in the Bering Sea, between Alaska and Russia. Steller was probably the first man to discover these creatures in 1741. Just 27 years after they were found, these sea cows were hunted by the people for meat and fat. After all, they were easy to kill due to their slow speed. The Stella's sea cow could reach up to 30 feet in length and weighed several tons. After their extinction, their first remains were found in 1840, only 70 years after their discovery. Just 4 years later, in 1844, the first partial sea cow skull was discovered, which is quite a sad end for such a fascinating creature. Number 13. Hyenadon. Recently, a new species of Hyenadon was described from fossil remains discovered in Egypt. Hyenadons were hypercarnivorous, making them some of the most feared and violent creatures that roamed the Earth between 42 and 36 million years ago. The fossils were found in the Fayum Depression, a region in Egypt known for its rich Eocene fossil deposits. This newly identified species was distinguished by unique dental and skeletal features, setting it apart from other known hyenodonts. These differences suggest that this species had a distinct diet, which led to evolutionary adaptations, ultimately giving rise to a new branch within the Hyenadon family. Number 14. Frozen foal. A few years ago, while searching through Siberia's Batagaica crater, mammoth tusk hunters made a surprising find, an ancient foal that had been frozen in the permafrost for 42,000 years. What's really incredible is how well this Ice Age horse was preserved. Its skin, hair, and some internal organs were still intact, making it an amazing find for scientists. They even gave the foal a name, Sasha. Even more surprising is that it was so well preserved that researchers were able to collect liquid blood and urine from the foal. This rare opportunity helped them learn more about horses from that time period, a world long gone. Number 15. Dodo Birds. In September 2019, a team of researchers announced one of the biggest stories of the year. They declared that they found a massive number of fossil remains of birds, and not just any birds, the dodo birds that went extinct during the 1600s. The bones of these birds were discovered in a swamp on the island of Mauritius. This area is a well-known habitat for dodo, also known as Rufus cucullatus. The excavation in the swamp revealed numerous dodo bone, including various skeletal elements. The discovery, once again, heated the topic of the dodo. It gave scientists hope that extracting sample DNA from these remains might actually bring these creatures back from extinction. Number 16. Castoroides. Beavers are definitely some of the cutest creatures on the planet, but did you know that these small dam makers once had ancestors so large that most of them were taller than an average human? We're talking about Castoroides, the ancestors of modern beavers. You'll be quite fascinated to know that along the Yamhill River
had a striated textured surface, with them also being larger at 15 centimeters long.
Scientists discovered several remains of Castoroides, including the first fossil found of this particular species. The fossils date back 20,000 years to the Pleistocene epoch, when these 5-foot, 6-inch tall, 120 to 220 pound creatures roamed the earth. But even though they're the ancestors of beavers, they lacked something very prominent: the ability to make dams, as they didn't have the sharp teeth of modern-day beavers. Number 17. Mastadon. Archaeologists in Iowa made history by digging up a massive 13,600-year-old mastodon skull. The skull was discovered in a wetland in Iowa, an area that was once a habitat for various megafauna during the last ice age. The skull appeared to be in great condition, and it was all in one piece, allowing researchers to gather valuable information about the species and its environment.
In all, it took about 12 days of digging to unearth the mastodon.
Now, in case you didn't know, mastodons are known to be elephant-like mammals that roamed North America during the Pleistocene epoch. They were primarily herbivorous and adapted to forested environments, unlike their more famous relatives, the woolly mammoths. Number 18. Ancient roundworm, still alive. Enough of the massive creatures. Did you know that they just found the oldest living worm on Earth, estimated to be around 46,000 years old? Even more incredible, it's not a fossil or a preserved specimen. It's a living, breathing roundworm. After retrieving the worm, scientists began experiments, hoping to revive this ancient creature, and they succeeded, bringing the oldest known living organism back to life. While it's well known that worms are exceptional survivors, capable of quickly adapting to environmental changes, no one could have imagined they could survive tens of thousands of years frozen in time. Number 19. Thylacine. We've always known that cats and tigers belong to the same Felidae family. After all, they look quite similar. But have you ever seen a tiger that resembles a dog? Well, that's the thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger or Tasmanian wolf. This species of extinct carnivore was once native to the Australian mainland.
The local government paid out bounties to hunters presenting carcasses,
especially Tasmania, as well as New Guinea. These animals resembled large dogs with distinctive stripes across their backs and tails, similar to those of tigers. It hasn't been long since they went extinct, but recently, through various excavations, researchers have unearthed thylacine fossils in various locations across Australia, including caves and other sedimentary deposits. The fossils provide quite some good insights into the Thylacines' habitat preferences, diet, and behavior, particularly before its extinction in the 20th century. Number 20. Frozen bird. So far, scientists have discovered gigantic animals weighing several tons inside caves and beneath thick layers of ice, but this discovery is different from any previous one. One of the most prominent things in the sky, besides the sun and the moon, is birds, which makes you wonder what birds looked like in ancient times. The specimen was fully intact, retaining its soft tissues and even feathers. Its internal organs were also present, which amazed scientists all over the world. But the most surprising thing is that birds from ancient times are mostly similar to modern species. Number 21. Helicoprion. Now think for a second about how you would feel if a shark attacked you. Sounds like certain death, right? Well, what if the shark had literal saws as teeth, as good as dead? But they were actually real, or, well, they were once upon a time. Helicoprion, also known as the buzzsaw shark, is one of the most mysterious yet terrifying creatures that once lurked beneath the waters during the prehistoric era.
The next step was to bring these jaws to life with 3D printing.
Scientists came across the buzzsaw shark when they discovered fossils of its tooth whorls, which are almost 250 million years old. The whorls contained at least a dozen teeth, all arranged in a spiral-like disc, and so far, not even scientists know how they were used to prey on other creatures. Undoubtedly, the Helicoprion is one of the most intriguing and coolest fish to have ever existed on our planet. Number 22. Nunchoga. Back in June 2022, a miner named Travis Mudry was busy working in the mines in search of gold. But who would have thought he would strike something more valuable than gold? The miner stumbled upon a strange corpse of a creature. When his discovery was made public, the experts jumped in, examined the specimen, and concluded that it belonged to a baby woolly mammoth. The discovery site is in the Yukon Territory of Canada, and the specimen discovered is by far the most well-preserved ever found. The baby mammoth was later named Nunchoga, which literally means big baby animal. This is a perfect name for an extinct species that towered over the land nearly 30,000 years ago. Number 23. Cave hyena. A recent discovery of a cave fossil in Europe has provided crucial evidence, along with fossils, about the extinct species of hyena known as cave hyenas. The cave fossil excavation unearthed remains belonging to Crocuta spelaea, which existed during the Pleistocene epoch. The fossil was found in a cave called Los Aprendices in northern Spain and includes over half of the hyena's skeleton, making it the most complete one ever found in the Iberian Peninsula.
Because of their habit of bringing their prey into caves, a great deal was known about the diversity of animals that these hyenas preyed on.
This cave hyena lived around 143,000 years ago. It was much bigger and stronger than today's hyenas, about the size of a jaguar, which allowed it to hunt large animals like woolly rhinos and mammoths. Number 24. Giant short-faced bear. The Arctodus simus, also known as the giant short-faced bear, was one of the largest land mammals to ever exist. These massive bears lived across North America as powerful predators during the Pleistocene epoch. They could grow up to 10 feet tall and weigh between 1,500 and 2,500 pounds.
Chase herbivores across open plains, hunting them down over long distances,
making them truly enormous. Fossil remains of these bears have been found throughout North America, including in the Midwest and along the West Coast. In 2008, a farmer in southwest Iowa even discovered bones from this species, showing just how widespread these giant bears were during their time on Earth. Number 25. Elephant bird. The Epyornis maximus, commonly known as the elephant bird, was a massive flightless bird that once lived in Madagascar. Fossilized remains of this giant bird, some dating back around 2,000 years, have been discovered in recent years. These birds are considered among the largest to have ever existed, standing up to 10 feet tall and weighing around 1,000 pounds. They had a strong, robust body and a relatively small head.
There's a carbon dating apparatus which can accurately find the age of ancient objects.
Even the eggs of elephant birds were massive, about 13 inches long, and with a circumference of roughly 30 inches. One egg could hold the equivalent of about 150 chicken eggs, making it the largest bird egg ever found. Unfortunately, the elephant bird went extinct approximately 1,000 to 2,000 years ago, likely due to a combination of human hunting and habitat loss. After their fossils were found at various sites, we do know one thing: they were herbivore. Number 26, Plesiosaur. In the early 19th century, a fossil hunter named Mary Anning discovered fascinating fossils of Plesiosaurus dolichodyrus. Soon, more fossils of different Plesiosaurus species were uncovered. Recently, in October 2022, another fossilized plesiosaur was found in Queensland, Australia. This fossil is just amazing because not only does it date back to almost 100 million years, but it also includes both the head and body of the creature, something rarely found intact. Usually, due to their long necks, plesiosaur fossils are found in separate parts, with the head often missing. This intact specimen is the first of its kind discovered in Australia. Number 27. Dinonis novaezealandia. The extinct moa bird from New Zealand was one of the largest birds to ever exist. These flightless birds, belonging to the family Dinornithidae, were extremely heavy. Moas could reach heights of up to 12 feet and weigh over 500 pounds. They had long necks, similar to ostriches, and long legs, which allowed them to run quickly. Fossils of moas have been found throughout New Zealand, dating back almost 500,000 years. You can see these impressive fossils in museums where these rare specimens are displayed. Number 28, Titanoboa. Who would have thought that the movie Anaconda wasn't entirely fictional and that a snake that size actually existed long ago? The snake in question is Titanoboa, an extinct genus of giant boid that lived during the Middle and Late Paleocene. This species of snake was massive.
Their best estimate was around 12 meters long, and Titanoboa at 13 meters long absolutely smashed everyone's expectations.
Growing up to 45 feet in length and had mouths big enough to swallow you in one single bite. The first fossils of Titanoboa were discovered in the early 2000s when researchers from the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute and students from the University of Florida unearthed 186 fossils in La Guajira, northeastern Colombia. Number 29, Archelonishiro. Then there is Archelonishiro, an extinct species of giant turtle that could grow up to 15 feet in length. These turtles weighed several tons, and the first fossils were discovered in 1895 by paleontologist George Reba Wieland in South Dakota, USA. Despite their massive size, these turtles had surprisingly lightweight shells, which allowed them to swim efficiently in the water. Sadly, they are now extinct, and all that remains are their fossilized skeletons, which continue to fascinate paleontologists around the world. Number 30. Yuka the Mammoth. In August 2010, a group searching for tusks along the Oyogos Yar coast made an incredible discovery. Instead of a tusk, they found something much larger and more valuable, a perfectly preserved baby woolly mammoth. The creature, named Yuka, was exceptionally well preserved, with only minor imperfections, and estimated to be around 39,000 years old. Yuka was named after the nearby Siberian village of Yukagir, where she was discovered. The specimen was between 6 and 11 years old at the time of its death, and still retained its original reddish fur and internal organs. That's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.